Good morning, folks. Today I wanted to create a new video and share with you a way to um, use a form to create a calendar event. So let me show you the different parts and pieces of this, the one that's working, and then we'll build one from scratch. So first of all, we have a form, and the form is simply a four fields: name, description, a start date where we add the time in, and an end date where we add the time in. And then we have the form response page. And what we're doing on the form response page, we've added these four columns. This one is not needed, but we added these four columns. And after you build the form and get your sheet set up, you want to add these four columns: a status, calendar event ID, delete, and update column. And the delete and update columns will have checkboxes in them. So what it's going to do is update a calendar. Now the calendar it's going to update is a calendar I've created here called input from form. And when a new event is added or an event is deleted, so let's say, for instance, we have an event that we want to delete. Anyway, let's go through and we'll build one of these and show you how it works. So let's get started. The first thing we need to do is create a new calendar. So where you see my calendars here, I want to create a new calendar, and I have a plus sign here, so I'm going to create a new calendar. We're going to create a new calendar. I think I'll just call this one from form to cal. We'll go ahead and name it that, doesn't really matter, and spell that correctly, and we're going to create a calendar. Now when you create a new calendar, notice my from cal to form shows up in here. I can make some changes to its color and so forth, but what I want to do now on this from form to cal, it's already been created. So what I want to do is click on this calendar, and what I'd like to do with this from form to cal calendar is I want to point out that we're going to have to come down here eventually in this integrate calendar piece of this. It's right here. We're going to need to grab this ID. So we've got a calendar created, so now let's create our form. So to save a little time, the way I'm going to do this is to create a new calendar. I'm going to use my three dots, and I'm going to make a copy of this calendar to save me having to do this. And this copy of form to calendar, actually I'm just going to call this, I'll rename, well I'll leave it, I'll call it that. And it's going to be in the same folder, that's where I want it. I'm going to make a copy. And I'm doing that just to make this a little simpler. So notice this is a brand new copy of this. Don't have a sheet set up yet and haven't collected anything. But I've been able to save all of this setup. One important thing to know if you're going to set this up from scratch is you need to go here and include time. And so that when you go ahead and include time and year, when you set up this field, a date field, it generally doesn't have the time, and we do want the time included in there. So this is all set up for me. My next step would be to create the sheet. So I'm going to create a new sheet, and that should end up in the same folder. Let's go ahead and check real quick. So notice I have these same events right here that I had on my other one. Let me just show you that in my folder, if I refresh this, I should have a copy of form to calendar and my responses. So on my response sheet here, what I'm going to do to save a little time, I'm going to grab these four headers and copy them and come over to mine and paste them just to save a little time. You might have to type those in. It would be important to type them in exactly like that because the script is reading that in that way. So I'm going to make sure that this is all set up here the way I'd like. So a quick summary here. We went ahead and we created a new calendar. By the way, I'm going to end up wanting to remember to get that. We have created a new form. You've either created it from scratch or in my case, I made a copy of an existing one. And then from there, we've created the sheet. So our next step is to go to the app script. Under the extensions menu, we're going to launch app script. And I'm including this set of scripts here in the comments of this. Let's go ahead and start. And I think what I'm going to do in this is just, first of all, I'm going to copy this. This is my on open menu. And on my script, a couple of things. First thing here, I'm going to name this. This is going to be called form to sheet to cal. Let's just name it that so that we know what it is. We'll rename that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually rename this to, from code, I'm going to call it the menu. And we're going to break things down a little bit here. I'm going to get my cursor here on my Mac. I'm going to do a Command A, Control A for a PC. We're going to highlight the existing function and we're going to paste in this new function and we're going to go ahead and save that. So we have that first function set up. Now the next step is to grab this next function, which is to create the calendar event. Now I'm going to go ahead and highlight all of that data, copy it, come in here to my script editor. I'm going to add a new script, and this I'm doing just to separate things. This is going to be called create. So we're going to create an event. If we get out here, or our cursor is blinking, we can do a Command A, Control A, and a Command V, and we should have all the data that we need there. The only thing we need to change here is the calendar ID. Well, we had saved that, and it's actually highlighted, so I'm going to copy that, come in here, and I'm going to paste my calendar ID and go ahead and paste. So that part is done. I've created the menu script, the create script. Now let's come over and get the update script. We will highlight this down to the bottom. We'll copy it. We'll come to our script editor. We will create a new script. This is update. Enter. Command A, Command V, and then what we need to do, come here, is grab this and be careful with this to be sure you leave the single quotes. And then my calendar ID here, between the single quotes, we do that. And we're done with that, and then we're going to come down and grab our delete function. And here we are, all the way to the bottom. We'll copy that. Come here to our script editor, add a delete script. And just an FYI, you could have all these scripts in one file, but I like to separate them out. It's just easier to troubleshoot and find the parts I want. So again, copying that ID, coming here, and going ahead and pasting that in and saving. Okay. So if we were to come back to this menu on open, now notice my sheet does not have a menu item here, but I'm going to go ahead and run my on open function. Now notice this is going to cause me to authorize this script. So I'm going to review those permissions. This is me. Yes, it's going to want to do all these things. I'm going to allow that. And that should run and complete. Now, if I come back to my sheet, I have a new menu where I can create, update, and delete calendar events. Now, I don't have any calendar events, but I also want this whole system to run when I submit from the form. So let's do one more thing here on the script editor. We're going to go to triggers, and we're going to add a trigger, and we're going to not on open, we're going to create calendar event from the head, from the spreadsheet, on form submit, and go ahead and save that. Again, this is calling for authorization. We're going to go ahead and do that. and that should save. Now we should be all set to go to use the form to go ahead, and it will of course put an event here, and we'll come back and fix some of these later, but we're going to now fill out the form. Let's go ahead, and it should work to add to our calendar. So let's give this event a name. Let's call it testing the system, and the description is here we go. Now we want this to, let's just have it show up today at 10 a.m. and we'll have this event end at today at 11 a.m. We'll go ahead and submit that. Now let's take a look at our sheet. Well, here we go. We have an event, and we should be expecting to see the status and calendar event ID showing up. But something's not right because that's not working, and that actually should have worked. So let's see if we can't troubleshoot this. So to troubleshoot this, I'm going to come here to, in my sheet here, I'm going to look at my executions. And I can see that my first execution failed. And it tells me that my problem is at 35. So let's take a look back at this in line 35. And where I can see this, or line, let's look at that again. Executions. I thought that was showing me where the problem was. Oh yeah, line 35. Create 24/7. So let's take a look here. In line 35, it's calling this create event, and we're calling for something. I did find the error here, and the error was that I had an earlier version of this where I had just called the first item in the form name instead of event name, and so I had not changed my script correctly to show event name when you copied and pasted, and I'm going to fix that right now. I went ahead and fixed that on the script that you would be copying. So yeah, this was, I'm sure, the problem, but let's see if we can test this again. You have to be very careful when you create things that these have to be named exactly, because of the way that we're doing this. We're actually, and I did this for a reason, we're getting the column index of the actual name on the sheet, and the name on the sheet is event name. And the reason we do it that way is then we could move these columns around and it would still work. So let's see if we can get this to work now manually. So we're going to create a calendar event, and let's see if we do not, there we go. So we did not get an error. I'm going to switch that to that and switch that to that. I did not get an error on that. And let's check our calendar and see if we can see that. And sure enough, testing the system, here we go. So it worked. Again, sorry for the error. It was an error from my copy and paste here. So that's the first step we would do. And the next step would be to, let's just run this again and make sure that it actually executes on form submit. Let's do one more. Test 2, and just, test just to make sure this is working. Let's do this on the 23rd at 8 a.m. So 8 and 8. Use the tab key. I made a mistake there. And 4:23, 9 a.m. Go ahead and submit. And then what we want to check here is, there we go. So that's working on form submit. Let's check our calendar. Sure enough, there it is, test 2. So let's come back here, and one of the things I like to do here is to color code this. So let's go ahead and do a conditional format on this column, and we will say that if it's exactly event added, we will go ahead and let it be green. We'll call that good. Let's add another rule and say if it is exactly event updated, if it says exactly updated, because this is what the script will do, then we would, let's just turn this blue. And then let's add one more rule and go, if it is exactly event deleted, let's turn it red. And let's go ahead and now let's update an event from the sheet itself. So first of all, what we need to do is we need to add some checkboxes in this. I'm going to check and see if I can't get the script to automatically add a checkbox when you create a new row. You can't really copy these checkboxes down because it's going to make the script think that there's data in these boxes. So what we're going to do is now I'm going to go ahead and close that out. Now I'm going to update. I'm going to check the update because I'm going to change this from test2 to dentist, just to cause a change. And then I'm going to add calendar, update calendar events. Now what should happen is it shows it is being updated. That's right. And the check mark went away. Let's go to the calendar and see, yep, it's been updated. So let's check the last thing, and that would be if we wanted to delete an event. So what we would do is select the delete button, add to calendar, delete calendar event. That should change to event deleted. The delete checkbox is gone, and we have removed it from the calendar. So that's the way this functions. You could, I would probably clean this up and get rid of all of these extra rows and go ahead and delete those extra rows. I would get rid of these extra columns and delete them so that we just have a nice clean sheet. And again, as I continue to add functions, they will show up on my calendar, and then I could use this calendar to update and delete events. One last thing, a suggestion on how you might use this. Let's say you have athletic events. If that were the case, I might change this event name to be a list of athletic events like basketball, baseball, and so forth and so on. And that way we could create an athletic calendar for a school and manage it completely from a sheet. Hope you enjoy it and add any comments.